Welcome to my channel, my dear Geminis. So we are going to do your love reading for the month of July. So when I laid out your cards on this table, I immediately felt like I was stepping into a love story that has reached a crossroad. This isn't a connection that feels casual. This isn't somebody you are simply curious about. This feels like a person who has occupied a significant amount of your emotional space. Whether they are physically present in your life right now or if they're not even, okay? And what makes this reading so interesting is that I see two energies that have been moving at completely different speeds, okay? One person has been trying to stay grounded, practical, and realistic about the situation, while the other person has been avoiding stillness because the moment they stop moving, the emotions catch up with them. There has been attraction, there has been chemistry, there has been a strong bond, but there has also been uncertainty about where things are headed. And Gemini, I honestly feel that many of you have grown tired of confusion. You are no longer looking for potential. You are looking for clarity, for consistency. You are looking for somebody whose actions match their feelings. And what's fascinating is that the card suggests that July becomes the month where things can no longer remain undefined. Somebody is going to have to make a choice, have to speak the truth, because this connection is moving towards a moment of honesty. Let's see what's coming up for you, my friends, in the month of July 2026. Let's find out what's happening in the first part of July. So the first energy I feel here is yours, basically. And what I love about this card is that it shows how much you have been involved and evolved in this relationship. You have been through enough emotional lessons to know that love alone isn't enough. You understand that chemistry without consistency creates anxiety. You understand that attraction without efforts create disappointment. And I feel many of you reaching a place where you are asking yourself a very important question. Does this connection actually support the life I want to build? Because lately you have been looking at love differently, my friends. You are no longer chasing excitement for the sake of excitement. You are looking for stability. You're looking for emotional security. You are looking for somebody who contributes peace to your life rather than chaos. What's interesting is that your person notices this shift. They notice that you are no longer willing to settle. They notice that you are becoming more selective with your energy. And for some of them, that's creating urgency. Because the version of Gemini that once waited endlessly for someone to make up their mind is disappearing. You are beginning to understand your value, and people can feel that. I also sense many Geminis focusing heavily on themselves right now, building their confidence, improving their finances, investing in personal growth, creating a life that feels fulfilling regardless of relationship status. And that energy is making you incredibly attractive, friends. Not because you are trying to impress anyone, but because you are becoming deeply aligned with yourself. So let's now talk about your person, okay? Because suddenly the energy becomes very fast, very direct, very intense. This card immediately makes me feel like someone has something they need to say. And honestly, Gemini, I don't think they have been able to stop thinking about it. This feels like somebody who has spent weeks or even months trying to figure things out internally. But now those thoughts are becoming impossible to ignore. I keep on hearing, I need to talk. I need answers. I need to know where I stand. For some of you, this person has been watching from a distance, observing, thinking, analyzing, trying to predict your next move. But the more they observe, the more they realize that staying silent isn't working anymore, because your energy is changing, my friends. You are becoming harder to read. You are becoming more independent, and it's creating a fear that they might lose access to you altogether. This card often appears when somebody rushes in with communication. But what makes this connection different is that emotional pressure behind it. Okay, this isn't small talk. This isn't casual conversation. This feels like somebody who has reached a breaking point within themselves. They need clarity. And whether they are ready or not, they know a conversation has to happen. Now, Geminis, this is your card. Whether and whenever it appears in a love reading, I pay very close attention to it. Because contrary to popular belief, the Lovers isn't just about romance. It's about choices. It's about alignment. It's about deciding what truly matters. And that's exactly why I see what I see happening here. Both you and this person are being forced to examine what this connection means to yourself and to them. For some of you, there has been distance because somebody couldn't make a decision. Perhaps they were afraid. Perhaps they were confused. Perhaps they were even trying to keep one foot in and one foot out. But July doesn't support indecision. This energy is demanding clarity. I also feel a powerful soul connection here, friends. The kind where no matter what, much time passes, the bond remains. The kind where no matter how much time passes, the bond remains. The kind where you can sense each other's energy even when you are not speaking. The kind where moving on, it hasn't been as easy as either of you expected. And what I'm hearing very strongly is neither of you can continue pretending this connection doesn't matter, because it does. The question is no longer whether feelings exist. The question is what you are both going to do about it. Let's now talk about the second half of July, my friends. We have the Emperor, because someone finally stops avoiding responsibility. The Emperor doesn't sit on the fence. The Emperor makes decisions. And Gemini, I feel somebody stepping into a more mature version of themselves. For many of you, your person has been trying to control their feelings rather than understand them. They have been trying to maintain distance instead of confronting what they truly want. But that strategy isn't working anymore, because the deeper this connection becomes, the harder it becomes to ignore. I see somebody asking themselves serious questions here. Questions about commitment, questions about the future, questions about whether they are willing to take the responsibility and the risk that love requires. And surprisingly, the answer seems to be yes, because I feel somebody becoming more intentional, more willing to step forward, not because they have suddenly become fearless, but because they have realized the risk of losing you feels greater than the risk of trying. Friends, this is where my heart softens, because the Two of Cups is one of the most beautiful cards in Love Tarot. And what I love about this is the mutuality, okay? This isn't about one-sided love. This isn't unrequited love. This isn't somebody chasing while the other runs. This is two people meeting in the middle, finally. For some of you, I feel emotional reciprocity. Sorry about this, my camera fell. One moment, sorry. All right, so what I was saying that this isn't one-sided. All right. This isn't unrequited. This isn't somebody chasing while the other runs. This is two people meeting in the middle, finally. For many of you, I feel emotional reciprocity arriving. Conversations that feel balanced. Effort that feels mutual. Affection that flows naturally. This card tells me that both people are beginning to acknowledge what has always existed beneath the surface, and that is love, my friends. Respect, connection, and a desire to understand each other. And honestly, I feel many Geminis receiving the validation they have been waiting for. Not because someone says all the right words, but because their actions finally begin matching their feelings. And that changes everything, friends. After all this intensity, all the realizations, all the emotional growth, we end up with vulnerability. The Page of Cups tells me somebody is opening their heart. Perhaps awkwardly, perhaps imperfectly, but sincerely. I see emotional messages, confessions, apologies, expressions of affection. And for some of you, this person may reveal feelings they have been hiding for much longer than you realize. Because underneath all the strength of the Emperor here, and all the connections of the Two of Cups, there is still somebody who feels nervous. Somebody who hopes you will understand. Somebody who hopes you will be reciprocative. You will be receptive. Somebody who genuinely cares. This card reminds me that love doesn't always arrive through grand gestures. Sometimes it arrives through a simple conversation, a heartfelt message, a vulnerable moment where somebody finally tells the truth. And that's exactly what I see is happening for you in the second half of this month, my friends. This is all I got for you, my Geminis. I will see you in my next reading. If you like this reading, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Bye-bye.